My son's wedding, where I was asked to leave the dream I paid for opening narration. There's a kind of heartbreak no one talks about. Not the end of a romance, not the betrayal of a friend, but the quiet, soul-wrenching moment when the child you raised, the one you stayed up nights for, the one you gave your life to, looks at you as if you're nothing but a burden. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in, through the unanswered calls, the words left unsaid, the subtle ways you become invisible. And then, without warning, you find yourself standing in the middle of a room filled with music, candles, flowers, and people you once called family, and you realize you are no longer welcome in the life you helped build. This is not a story about revenge. It is not about bitterness. It's about clarity. About the moment a woman remembers who she is after everyone else has forgotten. If you've ever given too much, loved too hard, or stayed silent for the sake of peace, then this story is for you, because what happened to me might already be happening to you. Part 1, the guest no one wanted. I never imagined that the day I would lose my son would be the day he got married. The ceremony was already unfolding, laughter echoing, music rising, cameras flashing. And then Emma turned to me, the bride, the woman I'd paid for, dressed in lace I had chosen, wearing flowers I had signed for, standing beneath an arch I had built. And she said, with a calm cruelty I'll never forget, "You're not welcome here, please leave." The words didn't echo, they stabbed, straight through the music, through the walls, through my chest. I stood still, like a statue made of disbelief, not because I didn't know what to say, but because I couldn't believe I had to say anything at all. All eyes turned toward me. No one moved, no one spoke, not even Ryan, my son, my only child, the boy I once held against my chest at 3 a.m., the boy I protected, sacrificed for, raised on love and grit. He stood there, staring at the floor, his hands tucked into his pockets as if I were a problem too messy to acknowledge. Part 2, the breaking point. I walked out of the venue alone. No one followed. Not my sister-in-law, not a single guest, and certainly not Ryan. I stepped into the parking lot, where the night had fallen heavier than I expected, as if even the sky had turned its back on me. I sat in my car, hands trembling as they gripped the steering wheel. The air was thick, still, too still. And in that silence, Emma's voice rang louder than any orchestra. "You're not welcome here." But it wasn't her cruelty that broke me. It was his silence, Ryan's silence. The way he stood there, not as a son, not even as a man, but as a stranger with my last name. My phone buzzed on the seat beside me, message after message. "Why did you leave? Are you okay? Don't cause a scene." Not a single one asking, "What did they do to you?" Not a single one saying, "I saw what happened and I'm on your side." I stared at the glowing screen and something inside me shifted. Something cracked. Something stood up. I would not cry, not for them, not tonight. I looked down at the purse in my lap. The same purse I carried into every meeting, every tasting, every floral consultation. The one holding the $50,000 check that brought this entire fantasy to life. They wanted a fairy tale, but they forgot who the fairy godmother was. I opened my email, searched for the name of the wedding planner. My thumb hovered over her contact, and then with a breath so sharp it burned, I pressed call. 2 rings. Then her cheerful voice, "Hi, Colleen, just finalizing details for tomorrow." I didn't hesitate. Cancel everything. A pause. I'm sorry, what? I said cancel everything. The venue, the vendors, the payments, it's over. "Colleen, the contracts are in your name." "Yes, but are you sure? This is so last minute." "I've never been more sure in my life. If I'm not welcome at the wedding, neither is my money." I ended the call. The phone slid from my hand onto the passenger seat. The shaking in my hand stopped. The sadness didn't disappear, but it folded itself into something sharper, stronger. Part 3, reclaiming what's mine. When I got home that night, the house was quiet, almost too quiet. But I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't play music to drown out the memories. I didn't need distraction. I needed action. I sat down at my kitchen table and opened the wedding binder. Yes, a real binder. Neatly labeled tabs: venue, caterer, florist, photographer, band. Each one a symbol of the care I had poured into Ryan and Emma's big day. Every receipt, every invoice, every contract, all signed with my name. All paid with my money. They had given ideas. Pinterest boards, entitled requests. But I had built the foundation. And now I was going to dismantle it, one call at a time. First, the venue. Hello, this is Colleen Mayer. I'm the contract holder for the Mayer Whitaker wedding tomorrow. I'm canceling, effective immediately. A long pause. Ma'am, that will incur a significant cancellation fee. I paid the deposit, and I'm well within my rights. Proceed with termination. Second, the florist. Third, the caterer. Fourth, the photographer. Fifth, the band. With each call, I felt my spine grow straighter. My voice steadier, my breath deeper. This wasn't revenge, it was restoration. With every contract canceled, I wasn't just taking back services. I was taking back power. My power. They thought I was a silent benefactor, a background character in their show. But I wasn't funding a performance that left me in the shadows. As I ended the final call, I allowed myself one small, cold smile. Tomorrow morning, they'd wake up assuming it was the most beautiful day of their lives. A day of fairy tales and soft lighting and champagne. But there would be no flowers, no food, no music. Just the empty echo of their own entitlement. They built nothing, they paid for nothing, they respected nothing, and now they would have nothing. Part for the knock at the door, it didn't take long. The next morning, just after sunrise, I heard the familiar crunch of tires against my driveway gravel, then the slam of a car door. Heavy, forceful, followed by footsteps. Fast, aggressive, and then bang, 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 a fist on the door. Mom, open up. We need to talk. I didn't move. I sat at the kitchen table where I had spent the entire night. Not because I was afraid, but because for once I wanted him to wait. Another knock. Louder. I know you're in there. I took a slow breath, clasped my hands together, and waited. You can't do this, he shouted. It's our wedding. Finally, I stood up, walked to the door, and opened it just slightly, just enough to meet his eyes. No, I said. It was never yours. It was mine, you just showed up to collect. He stared at me, confused, furious. What is wrong with you? He snapped. Do you even care what you've done to us? I opened the door wider, stepping aside with calm precision. Come in, I said. Let's talk, inside, like adults. He stormed past me, pacing like a man possessed. The venue says the booking is gone. The florist won't return our calls. The band canceled. Do you know how humiliating this is? I nodded slowly. Do you know how humiliating that night was? Being told to leave, in front of everyone. And you stood there, Ryan. You didn't say a word. Because I didn't want to make it worse, he muttered. Worse? I laughed, but there was no joy in it. Your fiancé kicked me out of a celebration I paid for, and you let her. He turned away from me, hands in his hair, muttering curses under his breath. And then he said something that didn't just cut, it stabbed. You've always been like this, controlling, overbearing. This is why Dad left. The room went silent, the kind of silence that wraps around you like ice. I didn't cry, I didn't even blink, but I felt something shift inside me, something harden permanently. Selfish, I said softly. That's what you think of me. You've made everything about you. No, Ryan, I made everything about you. Your education, your comfort, your dreams, your wedding. I bent myself in half so you wouldn't break. And this is the thanks I get? His eyes dropped. He didn't answer, because there was no defense strong enough to survive the truth. You've made your choice, I said, and so have I. I walked to the door, opened it. You should go. He hesitated, just for a second, as if maybe, just maybe, he would say something real. But he didn't. He walked out without another word, slammed the door so hard the walls trembled, and I sat down in the silence, alone, but not broken. For the first time in a very long time, I knew exactly who I was, and I wasn't ashamed of her anymore. Part 5, the family turns, and the truth reveals itself. It didn't take long before the silence gave way to noise. Not from Ryan, not from Emma, but from everyone else. By noon, my phone rang with the first voice of the day, my sister-in-law, Linda. "Colleen," she began gently, her voice cautious, the way someone speaks when they're about to ask you to do something you shouldn't. "I just spoke to Ryan. He's devastated." I said nothing. I let her speak. "Look, I know things got out of hand, but canceling the wedding, that's extreme." Extreme, that word hung in the air like smoke. "You don't want to ruin this for them," she said. "They're young, they made a mistake. Please, Colleen, don't let pride tear the family apart." I closed my eyes. She didn't see what happened. She didn't hear Emma's voice as it sliced through my chest. She didn't see my son's eyes, staring at the ground. "They ruined it," I replied calmly. "When they treated me like I didn't exist." There was a pause, a sigh. "You've always been so strong-willed," she said. Maybe Emma felt threatened by that. "Threatened?" I asked, my voice colder now. "I paid for her fantasy. Every flower, every fork, every square inch of that venue, and she threw me out like I was trash." "Just think about it, okay?" Linda said quickly. "You can still fix this." I hung up, no anger, no drama, just silence. 5 minutes later, another call. I didn't even need to see the name. That voice I knew too well. "Colleen," he said, "my ex-husband, Ryan's father." I heard what happened. "He's beside himself. You have to reconsider." I laughed, a short, breathless, bitter sound. "Where were you, Mark, when your son stood by and let his fiancée throw me out in front of 50 people? Don't make this about old wounds," he snapped. "This isn't the time, just be the bigger person." There it was again, be the bigger person. I'd heard that my entire life, every time I was hurt, every time I was used, every time I was silenced. It was never about doing what was right. It was about keeping things quiet. "You don't want to be remembered as the woman who destroyed her son's wedding," he added. "I won't be remembered as the woman who let herself be humiliated and still paid the bill," I said. "Goodbye, Mark." I hung up before he could say another word. I sat in my kitchen, the walls echoing with voices I no longer needed to hear. I stared at my own reflection in the window, tired eyes, tight jaw, unmoving. Something settled inside me, not grief, not rage, but resolve. They didn't want me as family. They wanted me as a wallet with a last name, and I was done paying for my own erasure. Part 6, the internet turns, and the lies unravel. It started with a notification. Just one, then another, then 10, then a flood. Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn. People I hadn't heard from in years were tagging me, messaging me, asking if I was okay. That's how I knew they'd gone public. I opened Facebook, and there she was, Emma, tear-streaked but somehow perfectly styled, holding a tissue in one hand, her other clutched to her chest as though mourning a tragedy that hadn't happened yet. The caption read, "I never imagined my future mother-in-law would destroy our wedding out of jealousy and spite. My heart is broken." My fingers hovered over the screen. I pressed play. She canceled everything. Emma sobbed into the camera. "The venue, the flowers, the food. After everything we've done for her, she's trying to ruin the happiest day of our lives." She sniffled, paused for dramatic effect, let her lip tremble just enough. "We didn't want to share this publicly, but she left us no choice. Please pray for us." I sat there, still, breathless. Then I laughed, not from joy, not even from bitterness, but from awe. She was good, truly. If the wedding had gone ahead, she could have won an Emmy that same evening. I scrolled down. The comments were already piling up. "What kind of mother does that? Toxic much? Cut her off. You don't need that kind of drama." Each one more vicious than the last. Each one written by someone who had never once asked who paid for the cake they were supposed to eat. And then I saw the Instagram post. A photo of Emma and Ryan embracing, blurry with just the right amount of light, captioned, "We won't let hate win. Family is who supports you, not who tears you down. Hundreds of likes, dozens of shares. I felt my hands begin to shake, not from grief. From fury, I opened my notes app, created a folder, named it Truth. One by one, I screenshotted every post, every lie, every comment. I wasn't going to respond, not publicly, not yet, but if they wanted a war, they would get one. And this time, I wouldn't cry, I wouldn't beg, I would fight. The emails began pouring in. The florist, we regret to inform you that due to the cancellation, we will not be providing service for the Mayor Whitaker wedding. The band, thank you for confirming the cancellation. We've released the date to another client. The photographer, appreciate your clarity, wishing you peace moving forward. The dominoes were falling, one after the other, and all of it traced back to me, to the woman they said was irrelevant. Emma and Ryan hadn't just built their dream wedding on my back, they'd built it on my name. Without me, they were just two entitled children standing in an empty venue, waiting for music that would never play. Part 7, the final blow where everything unravels, not with shouting, not with vengeance, but with the quiet dignity of a woman who has nothing left to prove and everything left to reclaim. Part 7, the final blow. Late one evening, just as I was folding laundry, another email came through. Subject: Final payment confirmation, Maldives honeymoon package. At first, I thought it was spam. But then I saw the name, my email, my credit card. The message began cheerfully. Thank you for booking your 14-night overwater villa in the Maldives with private butler service. It continued, listing champagne packages, a private yacht excursion, and spa treatments. At the bottom, it read, Guests, Ryan Mayer and Emma Whitaker. I stared, frozen. The booking was made 3 weeks ago, right around the same time Emma and I had sat at a cafe, sipping tea, as she told me how excited she was to involve me in the floral decisions. She smiled at me, all while planning a $26,000 honeymoon on my credit card. Without asking, without telling, without shame, I opened my banking app. $12 $400 Emma's Boutique $8 $950 Private Chef $3 $200 Exclusive Spa Treatments, all of it. Stolen. And then the last blow came, not from Emma, but from Ryan, a voicemail. Late. Cold. You've never really been a mother to me, he began. Always so controlling, so selfish, you just don't want me to be happy. His voice cracked. Emma was right about you, no wonder Dad left, you push people away and now you're alone. He hung up. I didn't cry, not this time. I deleted the message without blinking. And in that moment, something final snapped. Not with pain, not with rage, but with release. The next morning, I met with Margaret, my attorney. She read through the posts, the voicemail transcripts, the charges, and when she looked up, her face was no longer calm, it was sharp, steel-edged. This isn't just betrayal, she said. It's harassment and financial abuse. She drafted a cease and desist to Emma, to her parents, to anyone else fanning the flames. Then she froze the account Ryan had quietly been draining behind my back. She didn't flinch. She didn't soften. You've done everything right, Colleen, she said, and now we make sure they feel every consequence. Days later, the internet began to shift. One comment under Emma's dramatic Instagram post, "Didn't Colleen pay for the whole thing? This doesn't add up." At first, her friends defended her. Don't spread lies, you don't know the full story. But the story kept spreading. Screenshots leaked, invoices, booking emails. Even a vendor wrote anonymously. We warned the bride the contract was in her future mother-in-law's name. She didn't care. People began to question the narrative. They used her money, then kicked her out. You don't treat people like that. She funded your dream and you spat in her face. Emma's posts dried up. Ryan deleted his profile picture. And me, I didn't say a word, didn't defend myself, didn't comment. Because the truth, when left alone, knows how to rise. The wedding never happened. The venue was rebooked. The guests dispersed. The fairy tale collapsed, and me, I spent that weekend in a coastal spa resort. Eucalyptus in the air, ocean light through the windows, a glass of champagne in hand. At 2 p.m., when the ceremony was supposed to begin, I posted a photo of the ocean. No caption, no tags, just peace. They saw it. I know they did. And they finally understood what I had known for a long, long time. I wasn't their enemy. I was their foundation. And when they buried me in silence, I simply stood up and walked away.